Off the leash, off and running week. 2023 season
Week what?
in the books. It would be all week 19 in the books. I'm like, no, you can't.
Week, nah.
2023 season in the books.
We survived.
Mark Schwab, Leah Doherty, Ashley Holder with you for the final big share, the big program. We start true and false every week. We will start no different this week. Ladies, true false question. The 2023 Cleveland Browns season was a success. I think I know how Leah will answer. I'm not sure about Ashley, but I'm going to tee you up.
Because you think I'm an eternal optimist, so I'm going to say yes, or what?
No gray area.
Well, there's always going to be a gray area, so I'm going to give you a gray area. My definite answer is yes, I would say it was a success. Considering how terrible this team could have turned out to be, considering how horrid their record potentially could have been, it was a lot better than we thought it was ever going to be. So I would say it's a success in that right. However, you define, right, if you were to ask any guy in that locker room, you define success as a ring. And they didn't get a ring. Therefore, you weren't successful.
That's why I was careful to ask you guys. I'm not a player.
You're not successful in your goal. Therefore, I'm sure in fans' minds, in players' mind, coaches' mind, obviously it's not a success. You didn't finish with a ring. But considering how horrible it could have been, I'd say it was a success.
Ash?
Yeah, I'm just gray area. I'm not giving you yes or no.
Here we go.
I just think it's 50-50. I think, thank God, they did as well as they did, and they finished with, 11, 12 wins, or 11 wins? 11, 12. Yeah, 11 wins.
Could have won 12
because we didn't get to 12.
Tried.
That's right, because with Cincinnati.
They didn't try.
Right. So I think it could have been a lot worse than that. But then also, I'm not going to say, it's a fail because they didn't get a ring. I just think they should have gotten to the second round.
Okay.
At least the second round.
I'm going to say success. They needed 4 quarterbacks. They played 5, but they needed 4. Driscoll didn't have to go that last week. And we all know the situation with the tackles and all the other injuries on top of things. I just feel like that normally is the recipe for a 6-7 win season, maybe 8 out of the playoffs, middle round draft pick, but they won 11 and could have won 12 had they made an effort to. I was surprised they lost. Let me rephrase. I thought the Browns would beat Houston. If you had told me they were going to lose, I would not have been surprised. I was surprised in the nature of which they lost, which was a blowout town.
Gosh, yeah.
But had they won, I would have thought they're going out in the next round anyway. So I'm not going to say you're a complete bomb for going out in the first round instead of the second, considering all the circumstances of the season.
Well, yeah, I think everyone knew that next one was going to be tough because 9 times out of 10, I think more people were counting on the Chiefs beating the Dolphins, obviously, and then Flacco back to Baltimore and how that would have went. Yeah. But I also think that the way that they play is a lot harder compared to different people as well because they know different stakes are at risk. But I always said that Houston was, in my opinion, a trap game, and that's why I was a Jaguars fan. Those last couple weeks, I was like, please, the way they look so unsteady and whatnot the last couple weekends that I was like, they have to play them. And I just was so nervous when it came to CJ Stroud and playing them twice. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The way that it went down the first time. Twice. Yeah, it's just tough that I was like, I felt so much better with Jacksonville, and I feel like a lot of people did as well. They rather would have played them.
I wouldn't have viewed Houston as a trap game except for the fact that they beat them, and so you would think, oh, it's another easy win. But you can't view it that way because it was a totally different Texans team with Stroud, without Will Anderson, without Jonathan Grenard, a lot of the guys that they didn't have in that game on Christmas Eve. So you can't really count it as, they took care of business 2 weeks ago with this Texans team. They should be able to do it as well. I would also like to make a programming note. Ashley and I are in blankets. If you're watching on the YouTube, it's freezing. It's
-8 in here.
So I try not to talk too much about visuals because this is mostly an audio medium, but there are a lot of people that do.
We have some dedicated YouTube listeners.
It needs to be brought up. If you're watching on video, these two are in blankets. The only thing missing here is a campfire, and I'm in a hoodie.
Freezing.
Because you can hang meat in this room for some reason right now. Now, I don't know why Ashley chose the Steeler blanket today.
It's all she had.
Yeah, that's the bigger problem. Why is that all she has?
Which is funny because I'm going for the Bills today.
I know. You grew up kind of there, didn't you?
Well, I was there for a couple of years, but I'm not from Pittsburgh.
All right, but you were there for a bit, and you latched onto them.
Yeah, when I was young, and I've always been a fan, and I don't have no problem saying that. But once I moved out, and then I started getting in the NFL, it was kind of hard because you're rooting for the people that you're covering essentially because you want to keep going. You want them to do well. So I don't really know where I fall at this point. I mean, I'm not a Browns fan. That much I can say.
Well, that's okay.
Being with
You
the
just
Steelers,
cover
it's
them. You don't
weird.
have to be.
Yeah. But you kind of like Bills. I mean, I somewhat became a fan. Like I want to see them do well, but not saying I don't want to see the Browns do well. It's weird being a Steelers fan, like going for the Browns. It's
understand.
my heart was really it was pounding this season. Like my dad texted me, he was like, I'm over here rooting for the Browns. I was like, yo, it's crazy, right? And he's a Cowboys fan, but being in Pittsburgh is just crazy. I told you I got cursed out at a game at like 11 years old.
That happened to me at
a Browns game in Pittsburgh. It was
12.
serious. It was no joke.
I believe that.
They
It's the
cursed
same thing
me
with
out
Philly fans.
as a child. I was a child.
Philly fans would curse out a child.
I love that we are 6 minutes in. We're already in blanket talk and being cursed out.
we talked about Browns.
But can I just say this? See, this is the thing. This is why when me and Leah do the pod, it's so highly rated because we don't care that we veer off.
You'd be like,
We're here,
Schwab,
we're just
shut
like
up.
yes or whatever.
It's just girl talk at that point.
It's girl talk, right? And they love it.
But anyway, it's just that we needed to include the programming note that it's absolutely freezing in here, and that's why we have a blanket, and it is what it is. However, yes, I think Jacksonville would have been a much more winnable game. I just think the way that Stroud's performing right now, and for some weird reason, the defense does not do well on the road, and I don't know why, but that was another big concern, and then you have to wonder, too, Flacco had been having so many picks. At what point was that going to come back to bite him? Because he had a lot of interceptions in the games prior. I don't remember how many it was through the games that he had played, but they had been over to overcome it, or it wasn't ones like back-to-back pick six to where it really puts a dagger in you. They were able to, the defense was able to get stops and they'd be able to bounce back from it. But it was a combination of the defense not playing well on the road and then back-to-back.
But that second pick six was all Christian Harris, though. He read that play so beautifully, and he got right in front. So that
the game was over by then anyway.
Yeah, I will say at least a little bit like shout out to the defense on them. I mean, because that second one, he watched Flacco perfectly and saw him and got right in front of him.
You know whose fault it really was both times that happened. Ashley went up to go to the bathroom.
Yes, it was crazy. There was picks every time I went to the bathroom.
It really was Ashley's fault.
She was like, please stop getting up and went to the bathroom.
She just said she's not a Browns fan. You cursed the Browns by going to the bathroom, and then bad things happen.
And she goes back. There's only one pick six. I'm going back to the lab.
Right.
Next season, I will never go to the bathroom.
She went up to go get a snack because the media spread was next level in Houston.
The first time I went to go get some charcuterie, and that's what happened.
And then
Watch your language.
Sorry.
It was an elite media spread. Ashley and I had so much fun. The game, wasn't the best.
Was not elite.
So we were like, but we were like, hey, there's a nacho bar, so let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was Mexican street corn.
Oh, Mexican street corn's fantastic.
They had
not on the cob though. Not on the cob.
Either way,
still good.
Either way.
Ice cream bar, little coffee station. I mean, there was everything you could hope for. Grab and go, little M&Ms, grab and go Sour Patch Kids,
Voodoo donuts.
Yeah, I mean, it was truly everything you could hope for. Cake pops. Yeah, it was great.
And I brought one back for Matt because I ended up not eating it.
Did you really?
Yeah, but it's crushed. So I mean, if he still wants it, well, yeah.
As crushed as your Cinnabon you sat on in our rental car.
Oh, I got a Cinnabon and then I accidentally sat on the Cinnabon
in our rental car, but then she still ate
it. Like my butt didn't touch the actual Cinnabon. It was in.
You're saving that one for Matt.
Mark doesn't want a podcast.
It was such a good.
If I may steer the conversation.
See, this is why we have to do our podcast by ourselves.
Towards the football team at some point.
Yes. Now, I will say this. Like, I think it's crazy that they waited. They didn't pick.
That's the episode name.
I thought it was blanket statements.
They didn't. It's just crazy that this happened the final game of the season. Like, what worse time to pick to have all of this stuff happen? Obviously, they didn't pick it, but I also was worried too. The fact you look at they won 4 or 5 in a row, whatever, and then you get to the point where now you've got to stay on this level, right? And then it kind of sucked because you saw people say, "Well, see, this is the Cleveland Browns. Like, this is who they are." So it kind of seemed like once this game happened, all of what they kind of went through towards the end just got thrown away. People saying, "Let's Cleveland Browns." See, they're not for real, and it's kind of sucks because it takes away from what they did this year.
So there is a lot of scuttlebutt on the social media feeds that the Deshaun Watson trade. I think we've seen the graphic up enough. It's a picture of Watson and what the Browns got, and a picture of the Texans.
You always have like a bone to pick with this.
It's actually not so much that context, but it's the people saying this will go down as the worst trade of all time. I'm sorry, that's absurd. We're 2 years into a 5-year contract with Watson. If they ride it for 2 more years and get out of him, and they never sniff the Super Bowl, yes, it was a bad trade.
It's so early to say that.
But 2 years into this,
and he was injured. I mean,
well, that's the thing. Like it was a legit injury. It's not like he had an injury.
Play year one, really.
Right. And I don't know why. I mean, you know what? I do know why, because it's Cleveland and people get super emotional, and I get that part. But the folks that aren't from Cleveland, the national types that kind of drum this up on the, I will say, Twitter feeds, because the website is still twitter.com. It's not X. The people that's a disservice to the conversation. The last time we saw Deshaun Watson playing for the Cleveland Browns, he was leading a game-winning drive in Baltimore with a broken shoulder. I do not think it is crazy talk to say he might be able to turn a corner here. Totally. We're obviously going to have to wait to see it. Calling it the worst trade ever when what the Panthers gave for Bryce Young? God, it's not even the worst trade in the last 24 months.
Yeah, but it's probably we talked about this. Is it a bad trade if they never see a Super Bowl for all that money?
I think so. Yes,
that's a bad trade.
But that's not right now.
We got to see where they are.
Yeah, right. But I know you say we're 2 years in, right? And then you have 3 years, and then we have 4, and then we say, but now we're on the last one.
Save the conversation then. But it's not even. Here's the thing, Ash. It's
but
not
he's
even
barely played in the 2 seasons that he had. That's
it's not that they're saying it's a bad trade. They're saying it is one of the worst deals of all time.
I mean,
I 2 years in.
I think the money was astronomically crazy. I mean, I get it.
They didn't give that to the Texans.
I get somebody's going to give it, but they didn't give it to a player.
They didn't give that to the Texans, though. They're talking about what the teams gave each other for the parts. And for me to call it 2 years in one of the worst trades of all time is silly.
I just don't think, it's not fair to look at it this early on. I mean, he didn't really play that first season, and then this year.
But I also think with what Flacco was able to do just coming in off of the couch, I do think it still puts even more pressure on him, too.
It should.
I think that he looks at, I have to come out there and I have to produce and I have to play well.
Yep.
Not only because I technically did it prior to Flacco coming, but then you see him and what he's able to do and whatnot. And I'm not saying it's just all on him. It's just like for someone to come in and do what they did in this short amount of time. That's what I'm getting at.
You think there's a chance Flacco sticks around?
I think somebody else gets him. I think somebody else gets him and picks Flacco up. I think somebody else will get him.
He would.
Somebody else will take him.
Somebody else would
where
want him.
He doesn't have to be a backup.
Here's the question, though. Well, does he want to be the bridge quarterback, the guy that's the starter until the draft pick comes along? Because at that point, you're starting for 2, 3, 6 weeks tops. If he doesn't want that, maybe he doesn't go that route. I don't know.
I think he goes that route rather than coming here and playing backup quarterback to Deshaun.
That's what he'll have to decide. So. Or does he go back to the couch until somebody calls and there's an injury? No,
because you can tell that he wanted. I think you can kind of tell in his temperament that he wanted to play. It's just that he didn't have a team to go to.
How crazy were the Jets, by the way, after Rodgers goes down to not call him?
And I mean, he didn't do well when he was with the Jets last season, so I get part of that too. I mean, he was like what one for 5 or something like that, and his starts with them last year. But I don't know. I mean, obviously he's not going to tell us like I don't want to be here or who knows. But I mean, he kept singing
wants to be here.
praises after the game of like this is unlike teams that I've been on, and I really enjoyed being here in Cleveland with these guys. I would like to continue to be in Cleveland.
I believe that was genuine. That wasn't lip service.
Yeah. I do too. So I don't know. I mean, he could roll the dice and maybe Deshaun gets injured again and then we get Flacco again next year.
All right, so here's a fun question. Looking back on the season,
it's crazy.
Fill in the blank. The most important injury to the Browns this year was, I don't know if it's who or whom.
Nick Chubb. I say Nick Chubb.
Wow.
You think Deshaun Watson?
I would say Deshaun Watson.
Because you think he would have led them to what round?
I don't believe anyone is a running back away from anything.
No, but I don't think Deshaun would have helped you get any further than Flacco did. You think he would have?
I would. If
I guess what I want. You know what I want to know?
I would have had Chubb back over Deshaun.
You know what I want? I wanted to roll those dice.
But do you think if you
I think there was the potential there for him to have a higher ceiling.
You don't live in the gray, Mark.
Oh, dang it! She's got me!
This is a yes or no.
Yes, I will say yes.
They would have gone further than wild card.
I will say yes.
Ash says no. For those that aren't watching on YouTube, she's shaking her
By the
head.
way, and when I say that, I don't believe anyone is a running back away from that's. I understand how that sounds. That sounds so disrespectful to what Nick Chubb is. Nick Chubb would be second behind I'd put him ahead of the tackles. I'd put him ahead of all the other people that were out at some time. I would put Nick Chubb second, but I would pick Watson first because of the nature of the position. And Flacco, we loved him. Great conversation over the course of the last few weeks. Played with fire a lot. Got away with some bad throws. Eventually, the other shoe dropped. It's not like the idea of him making a bad throw came out of nowhere. He wasn't playing elite football, and then we got what we got in Houston. I think Watson had a chance to, by the end of the year, get to close to the old Deshaun. So I would say Deshaun over Chubb. I'll put Chubb second.
What's your answer to the question?
Chubb.
Biggest injury.
Chubb.
And yeah, like you said, of course, right? If we're living in the gray, there's always a chance if you had Deshaun, you go further. There's always a chance that could have happened, but I just don't know if I would have seen that.
It was very obvious, though. So even
potential will kill you sometimes.
They were a team that loved to run the ball. I mean, we had Flacco throwing like 35, 40 times a game. Some of these games, they had no real interest in running the ball. And I do know if Nick Chubb were back there, it's
both
different.
Of them. Yeah, if you have both of those, the running element consistently there, if they're trying so hard, like how they are on Myles Garrett, and they're having 3 people on them, they're so focused on Chubb, what that opens up, and then
you're right.
If Amari's going off,
you
then you
have
got Chubb.
fully healthy Amari, plus you have David Njoku in there, then you have Chubb in there.
Yeah, it's just too many elements that you're having to at least pay attention to. You're like, well, I don't know which way they're going to go. Well, you kind of knew where they were going to go. Necessarily, it was a lot more in the air when you have Jerome and Pierre. Not that they're not good. I'm just saying they weren't like...
Chubb smashed the guitar with a Batman mask. That's the guy that can lead you to the next round. Come on.
The signal, the sky, give us a running back.
And then just imagine you have the running back and you have a healthy O-line.
Right.
I know. And look, I want to be real clear because every team has injuries. Every team, by the time of the end of the year, there's 1 or 2 important people out for the year. I get that. It's just nobody has all of them out. I mean, nobody's on 4th tackle, 5th tackle,
and still make the playoffs.
4th string quarterback, backup running back.
I'm going to tell you right now, Deshaun would have never led them past the Texans.
Why do you say that?
What a storyline that would have been, though, if he was playing in that game.
Because that wasn't going to happen. He could barely lead them past the Titans.
He led them past the Ravens. By the way,
arguably, I think
I'm going to follow that up, and then I'm going to let you respond. Okay. You and I have actually been mostly in agreement on Watson. The Titan game was good, not great. He played a lot of average to below average games. However, I'm coming from this from the standpoint of it is a long season. I do believe he was starting to turn something there in Baltimore. And so I'm just trying to put 2 and 2 together, think he was going to continue to ascend. That might be a bad assumption. Largely, I think you and I have agreed that he was overrated at times this year. Yeah,
for sure. And I agree with you in what you're saying. I don't think it could have got super worse because I think we saw not terrible, but we saw bad, right? But my thing with him is he just was so inconsistent. He couldn't, and I know he didn't play that many games, but in all of them, he was never consistently good in these games. That was the problem. Then, you have the Baltimore game, and he looks kind of good, and then we hear, okay, this man's playing with his arms dangling or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Super
impressive. I get it. But now, then that's what we hold our head on. You find hope to hold on. Yeah. Don't I say last week, before me and you did, it's like holding on to a relationship you're supposed to let go of. There's a lot of potential could be there. But is he really good for you, Mark? Is he really good for you, Leah? No, you need to let go.
I think when you look at just the Baltimore game, then that adds fuel to the fire of, he could have kept going in that direction.
That's where I'm hanging my hat on.
But then when you look at his season overall and the games that he played, then that's kind of where I get the perspective from of, I don't know, he's been so inconsistent. Mm-hmm. So if you're judging it just off the Baltimore game, he could have definitely started trending in that direction.
And then next year, starting this summer, now we're back to the same conversation that we just did going into this year.
Are we going to see
what's a healthy Deshaun look like?
Right.
Now we can finally see him for a whole season. literally every storyline that we just started.
I don't want to think about us having to
in a
repeat
couple
all
of
those.
months. I honestly, at this point, it would just I'm gonna retake my old scripts and just
run your old packages.
Juice them up.
Cue up
Literally,
the old look lives.
it's literally all the same that we just started doing.
I would not be surprised at all if once training camp hits, we could find a report that one of you did.
And
from last year, run it on the air and see if anyone notices the difference. If it's a report specific to Watson.
I think it'll literally be the same. All the guys are saying he looks like he's back. All the guys are saying this looks like 2020, whatever, Deshaun Watson. It's going to be the exact same soundbite.
I swear,
just wait
if
now.
someone says he looks like 2020 Watson, I'm going to be like, so you said that last year, and I'm just curious of what makes you feel any different than what you said that, because it just, I don't know. I mean, and I'm not like dragging on Deshaun. I mean, do I think he's talented? Yeah, but I just think it's time that we're able to see a consistent. Well, one, we got to see him out there consistently.
Yep.
Then we have to see him play consistently good. You know what I mean? To see him lead this team. I mean, hey, he got a lot of money. I think he should back it up. He should.
I'm curious. Sorry, I'm going to have a
But this
question
team
I
breaks
wanna
up
ask.
though now.
The most disappointing part of the Houston game was what? Flacco's interceptions, defense falling short.
Defense.
So specifically, what with the defense was the most disappointing?
The constant, massive, big plays, 20, 30-yard rips, like seemingly not every drive, because I guess it didn't start that way. There were a few. But it was the chunk play. By the time they hit a 76-yard tight end screen, that's normally like an eye-opening play, and by the time they did that, I was like, yeah, just more of the same. They just didn't bother to tackle him that time. Instead of letting him go for 30 or 40, they just let him go all the way down the field.
Same thing. I thought the defensive line was just, they didn't do much. They didn't do anything.
Nobody got home.
Was there ever a sack? There wasn't a sack, right?
I don't even think Stroud was sacked. I don't.
Off the top of my head, I don't remember.
I don't think so. I don't know, but
if they did, it didn't matter.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I think
no interceptions either.
I would say his wrong name. Lamary Tunsil. He did very well.
Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah, he did very well.
Because when he left the game, they said it was a tonsillectomy.
Yeah,
that's Anthony Castrovitz, great baseball writer. I've known Castro a long time.
I saw you retweet that.
That's
what Castro does.
I just thought that the D line the defense collectively, but the D line just, we've always seen them do all this stuff and all these sacks and a lot of pressure, and just felt like, again, they were just, again,
they just got dragged.
The Texans were just a better team that day.
They absolutely beat the snot out of them.
It was disappointing because the defense, particularly because I think you expected Flacco to have a couple interceptions, maybe not back-to-back pick six, but I think you expected some of those things maybe to happen. But the defense to give up as many points as they did, I mean, it wasn't even, they hadn't had a game getting blown out that even sniffed that in the regular season. I mean, it was by far their worst game.
I will wonder how this worked out. So the Browns were down 24-14. Texans had the ball. They start the half. The Browns defense actually got a stop. The Browns had a chance to go down and drive and score and make it 24-21. That's when the pick sixes hit. They hit at the worst time. And at that point, I did wonder, is the defense going to figure this out? They got a stop they had to have. The problem was, by the time the defense was back out there for a significant drive, it had gone from 24-14 to that would have been 38-14, and then the game's over anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
By the time they made the stop they needed, and by then they never had a chance to make a stop that mattered. Mm-hmm. And that's where I wondered what would have happened had Flacco not thrown. The second one to me was, game was over after the first one.
Totally.
The second one was what it was. If he had not thrown the pick sixes when he did, would the defense have then turned the corner? Maybe we get a football game.
But what if the defense just would have turned the corner first?
And that's the thing. And that's why I said that. That's why I said they were the worst part of the game for me.
If they were throwing picks, they could have stopped them.
That's why I said they were the worst part of the game for me.
Yeah, you're right. Right.
While we're just here talking, you do wonder.
Yeah,
of course. There another side?
And then you also look too. Stroud went in there and he only had 5 interceptions.
I know.
He only had 5, and that was a big thing that I was talking about. Like the percentage was already small that he was going to, you know what I mean, that he was going to throw a pick.
Already, if they need turnovers,
statistically going in there,
you're thinking
was small.
They're going to have to get a fumble, make a play on special teams. Yeah. He doesn't throw picks.
That's what's going to, I'm just going to say, that's what's going to piss me off if they go and they play Baltimore and they just get smacked. Like if they go get smacked the next week, it's gonna make me mad because it's this stuff that you'd be like, you see what I'm saying? Why didn't you just beat them?
I think Stroud's too good. I hope that's not what happens because man, it'd be super fun to see both those quarterbacks battle it out. I mean, what Stroud's doing this season is.
It's fun to see a Buckeye. I know you guys just got here, but as somebody that has lived and died with Ohio State college football, and the quarterback thing is something we've always heard about. They had not had a first-round pick that was a quarterback since, well, Dwayne Haskins was, but he didn't turn in. Like, for years, the best Ohio State quarterback was a guy named Art Schlichter, who you guys don't even know because he went to jail for gambling and was it like the last, like, a big thing in the, I think it was the early 80s. I mean, this just
before
went on and on. Yeah. I mean, Troy Smith was a bomb. Yeah. Haskins didn't work out. Fields is still up in the air. All the other, Terrell Pryor busted out and was moved to receiver. You'd think somewhere along the way, one of those guys would at least click and have an average. Nobody. It's been a wasteland. And not only
crazy,
and this
considering
also
the
hits,
talent at Ohio State too.
Exactly. And this, I would think this would help, not to shift this to a Buckeye conversation, but it would help Ryan Day saying, because it does help them with wide receivers, the guys they put in the NFL. He can now point to Stroud. And he may still be able to point to Fields. And maybe that worm starts to turn a little bit. And then we'll get back to talking Browns here. But up next, we got the awards. We're talking about Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. Then we got free agency, then draft, which you will not be here with because you're getting married.
Well, and I'm getting married. I think also, I mean, you have to look at D'Amico Ryan. Like, it's hard to not root for him and CJ. Like, I think
nobody ever think anyone here has any ill will against them.
And off the strength, I mean, you guys may not pay attention to it, but I mean, for them, they're just the only six black head coach and black quarterback to go to the playoffs. And I mean, there's not a lot of representation of that. And I just think it's amazing to see that. And then even when you look at them going up against even Lamar and whatnot, I mean, it's so hard to not root for D'Amico. Like, it's like you want to see them well. I love the one in the game when they put the picture of him and Flacco playing against each other. I mean,
that was amazing.
How back in the day, but it's like this guy's still playing, this guy's coaching, and he's doing well. And you know, D'Amico got a lot of flack when they picked him as a coach from people. So I mean, in that standpoint, I'm happy to see them doing well. Again, I still think the Ravens come out of the AFC, and I love Harbaugh, man. I don't care why people
you
don't
love Harbaugh.
Why? I love their family.
For what reason?
Just love them. I just think, like, I love that they're almost like the hated guys, but why hate them? I love them. I love them.
She
I was happy with Michigan. I was like, yo.
She says wrapped in a Steeler blanket.
I take a whole picture with them. Like, I think that
we can give you 1,000 reasons not to like it. You know what?
I like them. I ain't got no problem. And plus, I also want to see Lamar do well. I want to see Lamar do well.
Well, you are the anti-hero.
That's a Taylor Swift song. Before Mark drowns us out in some music.
Just kidding.
I would just like to know what everybody's favorite part of the season was. If you had a favorite memory, favorite moment,
like biggest win.
Can I say one thing before we get into that?
Yeah.
I opened my fantasy app and and Leah got to meet the guy.
I did.
The one win that I got all season. I finished 1-13. Thank you guys. And the ESPN when it opened up, it said you tried, and I was like, cool. She got to meet the one person that I beat in fantasy.
Who was, he in Houston?
Shout out to DJ. He covers the Texans for ESPN. That's who I beat, and I was just appreciative that Leah was able to meet the person.
It was an honor. Yeah,
that I beat. The only person I beat.
Just so she could rub it in his face again.
He was very upset about it, but it's all good. Anyways, okay, sorry, go back to that.
No, do you have a favorite moment, highlight of the season, best memory? It's not me getting attacked by bugs.
It doesn't have to be on the field, does it?
No. Like you personally, favorite moment this season for you, not like looking at the Browns. What was your favorite moment to witness?
I got mine pretty easy.
Go for it.
The win in Baltimore. And I did have to be at that game, so that helps, I think, because when you can always see things in person. But recognizing if you remember, that was the start of a 2-week stretch where the Browns had to beat Baltimore and Pittsburgh to stay relevant in the division. Lose one, you're into wild card city the rest of the way. Nobody thought they would really win that game. They went into Baltimore, they got down a lot early, they found a way to hold on, and then I'll be dang, we finally see Deshaun Watson make a big drive down the field. They kicked the game winner, and I remember he hit that. I thought, oh my gosh, they just came in here and won this game. And nobody really thought that. I didn't think they're going to win the game.
Nobody did.
And they went, and I'm like, that's a huge moment for Watson, for Stefanski, for the organization, for Dustin Hopkins. I'm like, this is a big moment. Now, they're like, 3 days later, Deshaun was out for the year. So the memory kind of gets washed away because of what happened
But
after
then you
it didn't
realize
matter.
how much more impressive it was that he could go down
with
there.
a broken shoulder. And then they go beat the Steelers anyway. And it's like, well, this is so frustrating because we talked about these two. They had to win. They actually go and get them. But my big moment, the game-winning drive in Baltimore is fantastic.
Yeah, that was cool to be there. Do you have yours or do you want me to go?
You go.
Well, mine obviously is going to be Thursday Night Football meeting Big Ben. Kirk Herbstreit's dog. I don't think I've told this story on the pod.
God, Big Ben still playing?
Because you're in your Steelers blanket. That's what you're thinking over here. Because I don't think I was in the pod after Thursday Night Football. I don't know. I can't remember if I got to tell this story or not on the pod. But Kirk Herbstreit's dog, Ben, that he brings around with him every single week to Thursday Night Football, also the games that he's calling for college football. We were all standing on the field because we were doing all of our pregame live hits, and I was talking to Mark, and I said, Kirk Herbstreit, his dog is here. I want to meet him. He's a big, fluffy golden named Ben.
And I was like, yeah, he's right there. I just saw him.
Turn the corner
you said,
right there.
You said, I think I just saw a golden in the hallway. People were introducing him as Ben. And I said, get out of town. Seconds later, emerges from the tunnel.
The floof.
Kirk Herbstreit walking Ben. And I had never been starstruck like that before. I was like, oh my gosh, Ashley, give me your phone. Do you want a photo video?
I was losing it.
I had no words. I just handed Ashley my phone. I couldn't even tell her if I wanted a photo or a video. And then I just went up to Kirk Herbstreit and I said, is this Big Ben? And he said, yeah, it is. And I said, can I please have a photo? He says, sure. I asked Kirk Herbstreit for a photo with his dog, which I never thought would happen in my lifetime. And so in the photo, I'll post it on the YouTube. In the photo, there's a guy in the background holding the leash. It's Kirk Herbstreit, but it's a photo with the dog.
It's not, nobody's there for Kirk.
No, and I stood up afterwards and I said, it's great to meet you, by the way. My name is Leah Doherty. Good luck with the game tonight. He's like, yeah. And it was
They've ran a story about how popular the dog is now.
He is, and it's cool too, because Kirk was like, I don't like getting a lot of attention, and so it's kind of nice now that that's off of me, and people just want to come.
He's a dog walker now.
And meet his dog. And people aren't asking for photos with Kirk. They're asking for photos with Ben, like me. And I don't...
I have never seen you so gaga over something.
You know when you like meet a famous person, then you kind of have like a rush after of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. I just met a famous person. That's how I felt. I immediately called my fiance on the sideline because he loves Goldens as well. And I was like, Matt, I met Ben. And it was such a thrill. So that, and then, and then the live shots were good. We all did well. That was a good night of coverage for us.
We took a cool photo that night. We actually got a photo of all three of us on the sideline.
We had never, I don't think all three been at a game together, all got to go live, pregame, all this stuff. So that was a lot of fun that we all got to be there together. You know, primetime football is cool too to see in Cleveland and Big Ben.
If I had to say one, I'd probably just go with the Jaguars game. Just because they were to clinch. It was a fun night. Yeah. Like you said, we were all there. It was a good time. I had fun after the game. I went out.
You mean the Jets game? Not Jaguars?
Oh, gosh. Never mind. Not Jaguars.
Like,
sorry, Jets game. My bad, Jets game. I lied. Scratch all that.
You're good.
The Jets game.
Primetime games are always fun.
But actually, the Jaguars game was good, too, though, because that stadium was rocking inside. It wasn't when we went outside. But Jets game, sorry. Yes, that game.
Yeah. So we had some good moments. Some highs, some lows. Ashley sat on a cinnamon roll. I got attacked by bugs in Pittsburgh.
I swallowed plenty in West Virginia.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh, yeah. When you were there for training camp, we almost got thrown out of NRG parking lot multiple times when we were down there for our live shot.
It's Fort Knox out there.
They kept thinking we were trying to do a photo shoot. We said, no, we're not trying to do a photo shoot. We're trying to go live. It was a whole thing. But, we made it, guys. Great job, everybody.
Way to go.
Yeah, and we still struggle to turn the TV on and put the... we
got this,
and it's freezing in here.
We got this TV on for week 1, and then for like a month and a half, it would not come on. We finally got a series of managers to get it squared away.
Right.
But I wonder next year if we'll get heat in this room.
No.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so maybe if we get a sponsor, guys, we can afford to get heat in this room. If we get a sponsor of the pod, Sonic specifically would be our
Dunkin'.
Yeah, or Starbucks. Any place that can serve pretzels but also provide us coffee.
Maybe
and
Progressive, we can get free car insurance.
We would appreciate it.
There you go.
So, anyways, maybe we'll get some heat sponsors. We're looking, so reach out, guys.
So that's going to do it for this show. Here's the story with the pod. This goes away for a bit. We will probably be back in free agency, or if there's
any breaking news.
If there's a big news before then, we'll do like an emergency red alert episode. If not, we'll be back.
Yeah, we'll do one live for my wedding.
Free agency. We're gonna have Leah checking in from the draft, of course, from the
whatever beach I'm on. Yeah,
that's what we need. So, Off the Leash is done for now. We will return at some point. In the meantime, thanks for joining us. See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.